what is Jay-Z going to do to give back to the community? I mean, I know you're part owner of the Brooklyn Nets, but have you ever considered buying or investing in Marcy projects and changing that and creating educational programs or something to show that, listen, because many of those kids end up in my office. And that's something I just wanted to ask you. I mean, and, you know, not to get all political or everything, but that's a very significant thing for me, actually.
I think what you do for a living is very important to the mindset, because, you know, buying Marcy projects, in my opinion, doesn't fix the problem. You have to fix the thinking. Projects in the beginning was just, it was like a stopover. Projects were built, well, we know why they were really built, but they were built for, you know, low-income houses until you got enough money and you moved out and you moved to somewhere else. That's the origin of low-income housing, right? And then it became this thing of, you know, I gotta rep my hood. I'm not leaving out of my hood, and I don't think anything is wrong with wanting better or making where you are better. You know, I think it's more of the thinking of and the drive for us to want to do better than represent something that doesn't belong to us.
You love making great art.
Absolutely.
So why did you retire at one time?
Well, I was making an album at that point every single year. It was 96 up until that point. An album every year, 10, 20 features in between. So two things. I didn't want to just make an album every year because it was November, or, you know, I didn't want to take for granted the thing that saved my life, for one. You know, and for two, it felt like I had a bigger responsibility for the culture, to show it in a different light. Most people put out 2 or 3 albums, and then, you know, it's like, where are they now? And they VH1 specials and, you know, things like that. I just thought I had a responsibility to the culture to show it in a different light, that we can ascend the executive levels. And because who better to coach the players than the people who played the game? Like, really, I can relate to an artist in a different way. An artist can't tell me, yo, you don't know. I'm telling you, this is what they saying on the street. I'm like, well, until it reached me, that's not what they saying. You know, like, in a way, like, I can have the conversation with an artist on a different level. I've been in the studio. I've had records that didn't do so good. I've had, you know, to write from a place of when I wasn't as confident as I was. I wrote when I was on top of the world. You know, all these different things and nuances, you know, to being an artist.
All right, who's got the first question? Right there. Yes, sir.
Jay, what's up? I'm glad you mentioned how dismissive people are towards rap music and how Charlie touched upon the growth in your music. Because one of the things people don't give you credit for is the progression in the music. For example, Volume 1, which is my favorite album, is very dark. And then you go ahead into Kingdom Come, and there seems to be some spiritual, almost spiritual progression there. Can you talk about, was there like an awakening where you were making songs like You Must Love Me to Beach Chair? There was like this huge spiritual growth almost. Can you talk about that? Is that something that happened when you went away after Black Album?
No, yes, it was more obvious on the Black Album, because the Black Album, I wanted to make my most personal album. So it was more obvious there, but during my whole career, I was, you know, evolving as a human being. And, you know, and as I was evolving on a human level, was making its way into the music. Because for me, music was, you know, some sort of therapy. You know, it was my time. I was, you know, and to this day, I'm still pretty guarded as a human being, and I'm trying to get further and further, you know, daily. But rap was my time to get in the booth. I got in the booth and I could say things that I wouldn't normally say in, you know, everyday conversation. So, you know, I was just evolving the entire time. It just, you know, overstated on the Black Album because, you know, I tried to make it my most personal album.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to say thank you for inspiring me for the last 10 years, almost every day.
Thank you.
And what was the most valuable lesson you learned as president of Def Jam?
I learned that being the president of a company is a thankless job. So you had better do it for the greater good and not for yourself, because You know, if you have a successful artist, it's just because they did it. If they fail, it's because you. So it's a no-win situation on a personal level. So you have to just be focused on the greater good. And the greater good is getting, you know, great music out there, however, and really just realizing that not everyone's gonna be successful. And I guess that's the biggest lesson I learned.
Jay, this is an epic moment for me. My name is Renee Jennings, and I moved to New York when I was 19, and I'm 30 now, but like I went through sleeping in my car and all kinds of crazy stuff. But your music, when I listened to it, I was just like, man, this dude is so great. And like to see you, I'm like, oh man. Thank you. But one of the things okay, whatever, let me hurry up. I'm sorry. One of the things for me is when I listen to your music and I hear people say, oh, well, Jay-Z's music changed. He's not, you know, I live in Brooklyn, so, you know, you hear stuff, you know, people talk. And they're like, you know, but they're like, oh, it's not the same anymore. But people don't understand that you went through things that you went through in your life to get to a point to do better. You're not going to be the same person you were back then. You're going to elevate. How do you stay focused when you know that people say that about you? How do you remain calm when people talk about Beyonce, hey B, and you know, but I'm just saying, like, when, you know, but how do you, going back to the question, how do you remain focused with all that you have on you? You carry Brooklyn on your back. So many things come at you, and I look at you and I admire you because you don't feed into it. You're like, yo, I'm up here. Not that you're up here because you're better than people, but you're up here because you're standing on people that came before you, and you see where people are trying to take you. I mean, sometimes are you overwhelmed? How do you do this?
I mean, to answer the question, for one, you know, when we talked about the whole Fight Club thing, that was a very pivotal moment for me, that I knew that everything was built on a deck of cards, so to speak, and that it can all go away with one wrong decision. So I had to be more disciplined on where I was going. There's a great story, and I'm going to take time because we're not going anywhere. There's a great story. One time, me and Todd, we went to dinner with Big and D-Rock. So it's Big, D-Rock, me and Todd. We in the car, and we just finished eating. We're going to a club. It was called Exit at the time, and yeah, we was going to Club Exit, and we get into the front of the club. We pull up, and Big sees some guys out there, and he says, "Man, I'm not going in there." And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Nah, these guys over there. I'm not even, I don't feel like it tonight." So me and Tata, we just came in the music business. We don't really understand what he's saying. We think he's scared. So we like, "What? Let us out this car right now." So me and Tata leave the car, and we talking about Big behind his back. And we's like, "Man, could you believe that, man? You scared of these guys?" But we wanted to prove to the guys in front of the club that we wasn't scared. So we go in the club, Big pulls off, and for a while, I thought that he was really scared of these guys, until later on I realized that he had a bigger goal, and he knew where he was going, and he didn't want to deal with it. He wasn't scared. It was just like, why put himself in that position if he didn't have to? And I thought that was genius, and I guess that helps me a lot as well. And I thought that question was great. Thank you.
I don't mean to bring the party down, but I was at a party the other night. I was on Putnam between Tompkins and Marcy. And I was with a mixed group of friends, and I said, I'm going to go see Jay the other night. I'm going to go see Jay in a few days. And they said, why would Charlie Rose have Jay-Z on? And I began to explain to people, in my own way, how it's rags to riches, the American dream, all the various notes. And before long, the party was empty. Just 4 people. And this is my question. Can you get a cab in New York City? When you're alone.
That was genius. And yes. Cab drivers know me too. But I don't think yes, I can. I'll be honest with you.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, this is not the first time he's been on my show.
I mentioned that. No, if I can have one more moment, someone said, "What has he done with his money?" And I just wish that I could pull up the Forbes interview at that moment. I didn't have the imaginary power to explain. But it was just amazing that, that you've had a variety of superstars, one from Tom Cruise to Bjork to various people I admire. But when it came to Jay-Z, the question was immediately, what has he done with his money? And I just found that stunning, that that was bought up.
And that's why
I had to defend both of you.
And that's why, even in a place where we finally, after 44 tries and 2 terms of Bush, we realized, that we've come so far and we still have to have these conversations. And I think that's why not to plug the book, is a very important part of the conversation, because until those conversations are had on multiple levels, then we won't, have this sort of understanding that at the end of the day, we both have the same fears, the same loves, I said this earlier, so I don't want to say it again, but it was kind of true. Who do you love? I love my mother. Who do you hate? I hate my father. He wants me to be just like him. I can't. He left me. We all have the same fears, loves, and, aspirations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could pick the ultimate cipher with you and 5 MCs, dead or alive, what 5 MCs would you choose and why?
I would choose Big because of his ability to tell stories, to be humorous, to be dead serious, to be, he just had it all, and just his voice alone. I would choose Pac because his fire will overcome his what he doesn't have in technical skills will be overcome by passion. If you listen to that tunnel verse where Big is saying, MC Hammer and them 357 women. And then you hear how he comes on and he just screams on the track, like his passion could put a lot of guys to sleep. And I guess Coogee Rap, Kane. Yeah, and man, I would KRS-One. I mean, we got to put him as well. I need more MCs. We got to get Eminem and Nas, and them as well. But those 5, and then we'll switch them out.
Hello, and thank you for being in Brooklyn. Thank you for not forgetting about Brooklyn. You inspire me in so many ways. You're welcome. I'm an upcoming designer and songwriter, and I made special shades only for B, and I also have something in here for you. And it would be more than an honor if I can give it to you.
Well, that's a great question. Sorry. Good luck. All right. Okay.
Hi, Jay. My name is Glow. Okay, so basically, first off, I just wanted to say I've been a fan since day one, since '96, since Reasonable Doubt, since Can I Live, since I heard you first rapping over Up Against the Wall speakers in Springfield, Virginia, where I worked at. And so, as someone who followed your career throughout these years, past, 14, 15 years, your work ethic has definitely been something that I've always tried to emulate. And as someone who, is staying on my grind every day, being on my hustle every single day, putting hours in the kitchen. I
I do. I work in a sweatshop pretty much in New York. I just, there's a lot of ups and downs on the road to success and, highs and lows and, bouts of self-doubt and naysayers and talkers. What's the best advice you can give to someone or insight or inspiration, to get through those rough times and kind of keep your, eye on the prize?
I think that the best thing is the belief that you have to have such a strong belief in yourself that you can quiet out all the outside noise, because you're gonna need that on every step of the way. There are people that are projecting their fears and their shortcomings and failures on you. And you have to be very careful, with that. People telling you can't do that. Why can't I? Because they may have tried or they don't believe that they can do it. And it's not really about you, it's about what they feel and their fear inside. So you have to be strong enough and resilient to believe in whatever it is you're trying to do. And, good luck with it.
It's a pleasure just seeing you. You're a legend. I look up to you as a brother, father figure, OG up the block.
Yes, sir.
Through your music, you let me know how I should do it and not get caught. When to stop doing it, when to grow up, stop doing it.
Yes, sir.
From you, I learned how to tell a hoochie, and I learned how to tell a wifey. You feel me? So it's like, as you grew, we grew, and I'm probably about 10 years younger than you. But each step you take, the streets take it with you. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. You got nothing but love out here, I just want to let you know that,
Thank you.
From the bottom of my heart.
I appreciate it, bro. Yes, sir.
You inspired us all. I've been on planes to go see you in concerts in other countries. You're just an inspiration. Your music is absolutely amazing. But one thing that you've done is obviously always collaborate with Drake, with Diddy, with Big, great music. You've also more recently got involved with Linkin Park, with Chris Martin. Do you think you'll be doing more collaborations in the future?
Yeah, I always believe in. I love I love that thing of collaborating. You taking the best of what you do, and someone taking the best of what you do, and you're not robbing from what they do, and they're not robbing from what you do. When y'all bring the best of what you are to the table, and you put it in this mix, and you see what happens. I love that part of creating. So there'll definitely be, because I don't believe in those lines that people put up for music. This is for this person, this is for that people. This is rock, this is blues. I just believe good music, bad music, and put those two elements in the room and see what happens. Let the God, the universe, the movement, whatever happens in that room tonight, wine, whatever happens, make great music.
I think it's crazy how you just come off the top with everything you do, you don't write it down. I think that's an amazing talent. I'm actually cool with Free. I know he do the same type of thing. So I want to know, when did you start getting into not writing your rhymes down? And I just want to come off the top of my head and everything.
Yeah, it's not really off the top of my head. I'll sit and I'll listen to the track and I'll go over it over. And for me it was a necessity. It wasn't something that I tried to showcase my skill or anything. It was more out of necessity. I was away from this notebook that was my world. And I was out in the street and moving around, and I had no place to write it down, so I had to memorize it. So it was more out of necessity than it being some sort of skill. And I just worked at it, I'm sure you heard this, like an exercise before. So it's not really, off the top of the head. It's thought out over and over again, and then I just go and do it.
You ever catch yourself trying to get back to it? I'm gonna write
back
something.
to writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried a couple times, but for me, it's just freeing. It's just something about it, without having any rules or any box or anywhere to stop. Sometimes you can see where to stop and say, okay, there's the stop. I don't see that, so I don't know when the last line ends or the first one begins. So sometimes this word starts the sentence, but it ends that one, and for me, it's just a better technique.
I appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, man.
I'm I'm such a huge fan, and I just want to thank you for all your music. You know, it's the best shit, the best that ever did it. And you had a lot of big features on all your albums. So what was your favorite guest on one of your albums, and what was your favorite guest verse that you've done?
Man, my favorite guest was big because of the relationship that happened after that night. That relationship that we had was a direct result of that song and the respect, you know, we had for each other, you know, over that song. And my favorite guest verse is too many. I have no idea, man. Crazy in Love was pretty good.
Yeah.
Over here.
Hey, what up, Jay? I just want to know, seeing that you left the hood for a minute now, you know, and where do you get this inspiration to write music for us that we still in the hood, you know, and we bump to it and everything? Who you got going out in the project, chilling, bring it back in for you? How do you do it?
I've lived the life. My life is so rich. The wealth of my experience. Like, you know, you have some people that visit the topic because, you know, they drove by the hood, or you know, the wealth of, you know, my experiences. You know, I can relate to anybody from anywhere. You know, I can write a rhyme about you in Washington, D.C. on the lawn with the helicopter coming down because I know exactly how you feel, the emotions that you went through, the angst that you feel, the things that you hope to acquire. I mean, we're the same person.
All right, one more thing. Could you sign my book, please?
That would probably be a bad idea. But, sorry.
Over here.
Jay, I'm so proud. In 1997, we did a show called Hip Hop Nation here. We were incredibly criticized for doing it. We were right then, and we're certainly right to have you here this evening. I'm so proud.
Thank you, man.
And I just want to tell you, we have a spot next summer to work together on right here. Big gallery, small gallery, what size gallery?
Yes.
I'm absolutely honored to be up here in your presence to talk to you. It's like I'm shaking, I'm happy, I'm scared, I want to cry, I want to scream, I want to do everything. It's like all at once. But just for that, I want to ask you, I already know the question, I'm sure all of your true fans know the answer. I already know the answer, and I know we all know the answer, but I really want to hear it from you personally. And I want to know if you know how you affect your fans, and how, if you really know how they feel just being in your presence, just standing here talking to you and shaking, not being able to keep your composure. Like, since day one, it's like crazy, and every concert and every day, I'm hoping and praying to meet you, and it's just that I'm standing here right now.